This is the Wealth Junkie Show. Brought to you by CEO Capital Partners, Brendan Dukeman and Will Harvey. Your hosts deliver the daily fix you're looking for with exciting wealth-building secrets and strategies for what's working today. Listen to real-life stories straight from the mouths of some of the hottest, most successful entrepreneurs and financial freedom seekers to fuel your success addiction.
What's going on, junkies? This is the Daily Wealth Junkie Show. And thanks again for joining us today for one of our daily shows. We've got a pretty awesome guest here for you today. But first, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to, and so that you don't miss any of our daily episodes. And follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/wealthjunkies. And with that being said, I'm going to toss it right over to Will to get started for today.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Today we have Ashra Bennett, and she actually mentioned before, your dog was barking and how that's just something that happens. So I'm just going to call out your you tripping over your words there and just say, what, it happens.
That was awful.
Oh, whatever. Who cares? So, anyways, Ashra is a high performance coach and mentor, and she focuses on conscious business. So I don't really know what that means. So Ashra, I'm going to ask you exactly what that is. And before that, can you just give the listeners a little bit more about your background and what got you to where you are today?
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you for having me on today's podcast. It's really great to be here. My background is primarily working in multinational, so large organizations at executive leadership level. And a few years ago, actually back in 2012, I got diagnosed terminally ill off the back of doing a charity bike ride, fundraising for kids' brain cancer. And off the back of that, I got diagnosed terminally ill and got very sick and decided to pull away from that environment and then step into bringing both worlds of what I am, which I'm a 7th generation medium clairvoyant alchemist, and business. So I bring the ether and the earth together and be able to bring that back into corporate industry and specifically with entrepreneurs, so startups, where people are really looking to optimize what they do and the purpose and why they do it. Often we have these great, phenomenal ideas, but we don't necessarily know the method to actually how to bring them to full flight and potential.
Right.
So that's my expertise. And it's great fun, having an absolute blast doing it, traveling all over the world and bringing lots of people together for very intentional creation. When we talk about conscious business is actually bringing people together in co-collaboration for the same purpose, the same intent. And that's generally because people have the same values, beliefs, boundaries, and habitual habits. So they're all working towards the same common goal, basically, in the most simplistic of terms. Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah,
I'll let you.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of sticking on one of the last things you said, but that what does the co-collaboration do to help businesses or entrepreneurs grow? Like, how does that?
It's very intentional. Yeah, that's a great question. And I get asked this quite a lot. When we talk about intentional, conscious co-creating, it's really aligning and making sure that the people in your sphere are working towards the same common goal that you're working towards. So the only way that you can establish that is you, first of all, being really intentionally clear around what you value, why you value it, what are your beliefs around what you value and why you value it, and what are the boundaries? So what are kind of like the non-negotiables that you have in your field that, in terms of if you're going to do business with somebody, are they actually ticking all those boxes? And if they're not ticking all of the boxes, then are they really someone that you want to actually put your money where your mouth is? And not just in terms of wealth, but are they actually someone who's aligned to your outside of business values, beliefs, habits, and the non-negotiables as well? So that's what conscious co-creating is that you're bringing people that it would be kind of a contradictory if you're bringing people together to do something great for the planet and for future generations to be able to thrive from. And yet this particular business was all about deforestation and they were kind of like the polarity. They were not advocates for that. So really, would they be aligned for a conscious co-creation? No, they wouldn't. So conscious business is about bringing people, purpose, and the planet together. So it's about really building a legacy that not just our generation in the here and now is thriving in, but all future generations, irrespective of your geographical location. So that's really what conscious business is. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm having an issue coming up with even what to ask because it's
Yeah,
so like my head is spinning
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Um,
So
why don't, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Can I
Brandon, I'll
maybe
let
make
you
a
go.
suggestion, guys?
yeah,
I was
absolutely.
going to say, can I maybe bring it down a notch or two?
Please.
When someone comes to me and they are wanting mentorship and they're wanting to understand, especially from an entrepreneurial perspective. So regardless of whether you're in college and you're thinking about what's transitioning on the other side of college, or you've actually decided that's not really the space for you and you're really want to taking your startup ideas and taking it out to market.
Yeah.
First and foremost, everybody that has an idea, they have a perception or a filter that everybody's going to want to buy what they've got or what
Absolutely.
they do.
Absolutely.
So first, what you need to do is you need to establish who is your avatar, who is your market, and what solutions are you providing for them. Going into business is great, and where the differential between a startup business and an entrepreneur actually getting runs on the board and staying in business after the second, third, fourth year, and those that actually fall and hit within the first 12 months, is because they're wanting to bring something to market, but they're not clear about what problems that they're actually solving, what products and service are they giving to the market that the market actually needs. So as you guys know, it's like a supply and demand. And that's where one point of difference is. The next point of difference is making sure you're really clear about your values in terms of getting the foundation right. And this is like the fundamentals. It's transferable across all aspects of your life. We tend to historically, perpetually learn from parents, institutions for education, society, community, and the list goes on. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but the preconditioning that actually occurs is it becomes very limited. And when you're going into entrepreneurship, when you're actually wanting to create wealth, you would have limitless thinking, you have limitless application and embodiment. Okay, so it's all well and good to talk about things until you actually embody it and you make it a reality. It's kind of like pie in the sky. I'm gonna do this. That's great. I'm gonna experience it. That's great. But what are you actually doing today to improve tomorrow? So you need to be really clear on what it is with your values. So what you're doing today is actually taking you there tomorrow. And this is where gaps are in entrepreneurship, where most people are not clear in what they are to themselves before they actually are to anything else out in the marketplace. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. So are you helping open up their minds to those problems that need to be solved prior to starting up? Or are you providing solutions to finding those answers?
Yeah. So a good mentor will actually assist you to actually self-discern the answers within. A coach will tell you what you need to do, the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can become quite monotonous after a little while. A really good mentor, and for anybody that's tuning into the podcast today, if you are wanting to really excel and accelerate your growth, get yourself a really good mentor. Like, get someone who is not just really excellent in one particular modality or one particular area. Get someone who's actually harnessing their life in true embodiment. And what I mean by that, to like debunk it, is get someone who's actually got a balanced state in their health, their wealth, their vitality, and their community presence. You want somebody who actually talks and owns what they do. It's not about dominating the space, but they're really congruent. What they say is what they do, not what they say is half what they do, or periodically or on the weekend is what they do. They do it day in, day out. They're consistent in their life day in, day out. So they value health and vitality, because they know without their own health and vitality, it doesn't matter how many hours that they put into their business or to their co-collaboration with other people, it means basically shit, for a better word.
Yeah.
Because they actually, without matter, it doesn't matter. So get yourself a mentor that is really congruent, that's really owning their space, and look for a mentor that will stretch you, that will stretch your thinking capacity. When you're in entrepreneurship, it's a very headspace. So you're always kind of looking for that cutting edge, how to develop yourself, how to be able to be seen in the market, how can you actually get runs on the board, how to make sure that your investors or your clients or your customers know who you are and what you stand for, what's your ethos, what you're about. Having a mentor helps you really embed the basics. And to have somebody that is really solid and congruent across all areas is someone that can actually mentor you in all areas of your life. If you had a mentor that was just really good at business, but sucked at communication, like great at generating money, but sucked at communication, are they really who you want mentoring you? Do you know what I mean? So you want someone that can give you that diversity, and it's worth the investment. So when we talk about investing in our business, there's two things. We work in our business and we work on our business.
Absolutely.
Work on the principle of seeing everything that you invest in yourself is giving you both. It's working on your business and it's working in your business, because what you do in development of self automatically is transferable into your business and working within your business. So it's drawing new people, new clients to you. And so every time that you kind of feel like, oh, I need to upskill myself, or that's a lot of money to have a mentor, or that's a lot of money to go and attend that 3-day workshop, or whatever it might be for you, see it as a return on investment. What you put out is what you get back. If you are tight and you're reluctant to actually invest in doing something to better yourself, then you need to be really aware that your capacity or potential is going to get capped. It will reach a shelf, and then that's kind of it. You want to be able to keep breaking through the glass ceilings, right?
Yeah.
So make sure that you're investing in yourself.
I agree with that, and I've had a similar situation to that, where there was a course that was offered to me that was $2,000, and at the time, I had the same mindset. Well, shit, that's $2,000, and but that was going to make me better and excel me to somewhere that I wasn't already. And like you said, I was investing in myself. And at the time I didn't recognize it as an investment in myself. I recognized it as shit. I'm going to pay $2,000 for this course. But I think it's important, don't necessarily look at the price tag, look at what it's going to do for you as the investment. So
that's so good. There's a book called all of us real estate guys have heard of it. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that book in and of itself is one of the greatest investments that a ton of most real estate investors have ever purchased. It's like $7, but in that book there's an analogy where it talks about somebody breaks into another guy's house and he steals like a TV or something that he sees is valuable. And it was in a room. He stole the TV in a room where there was a bookshelf with all these books on how to build wealth. And it was just about how he overlooked the most valuable thing in the room and went with, so that kind of ties into what you're saying about, investing in yourself is it's hard because there's not a tangible immediate return, but it is the greatest thing to invest in. You're exactly right.
It's interesting because when we look on return on investment and we're looking for the quick wins. So in my experience in business and having a global brand and being able to travel and facilitate globally, is that people that look for the quick wins generally don't get the foundations right. Guys, like truly get your foundation right. If you get your foundation right, get the principles right, then it's kind of that where we're looking for passive income to come streaming in so that we can then really begin to work on our business. It goes from being in the business to be able to come out and helicopter and work on your business. Each investment is really aligned to how you value it. Okay. So for example, when I have a client that comes to me and says, gee, that's a lot of money to invest for a 6-month period with you. And I'm like, yeah, that is, but what are you wanting? I actually help you solve and resolve all the limitations that you currently have. I'm quite okay for you to walk away and not do business with me and engage me as your mentor, but just be mindful and know that all of the obstacles and limitations that you currently have are going to still remain with you. It's always a choice. So where we see value in something, you guys both know, where you've seen value in something, you'll move mountains for it. You really want to experience something, you will just find the money, right? You'll just do whatever you need to do to make it happen.
That's right.
Business is the same, and investing in yourself should be the same. If you really are hungry about creating the life that you really want to live, then you have to go that extra mile. You have to do that extra little bit. And it's not just once a week, it's every single day. Incrementally chipping away at it. What is the one thing that I can do today that's going to get me closer to my goal? And when you can apply that, then the value becomes priceless, because you just know it's like this accumulation of that is going to add so much value because I'm clearing away, I'm debunking, I'm clearing my mindset so that I'm not carrying other people's projections, I'm not carrying other people's beliefs. I'm constantly rewriting and creating my own so that I can have what I'm actually wanting to bring into reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes huge sense.
Yeah,
I want to go back a little bit to what you said about finding a mentor and make sure they have all those key characteristics to be a good mentor. How do you see through kind of all the BS out there that these guru people or pretending that they all they have all this, but they may not. How do you is there kind of a formula to evaluate the person, or is it find somebody that you know as a mentor, or or whoever's charging the cheapest price, whatever that may be?
Yeah, I think they're all great points. This is one aspect that I speak about quite a lot, and I mentor a lot on, especially in the corporate sector. We wouldn't go to the dentist to actually have cosmetic surgery, really, because they're going to fix your teeth. We wouldn't go to the butcher to get our car washed. It's what you put in is what you get out. Okay, so look for somebody who really is owning that space. For me, when I get asked this question, is I look for somebody who's well-rounded, and I'm looking for somebody who's already in the game that I'm aspiring to be in. So not someone who's just owning one element of it. I'm not looking for someone who's just dominating the marketing and advertising space, because I feel like I'm really confident in that space. I'm looking for someone that's really well-rounded, that can actually take me emotionally, mentally, and physically, and my business to the next level, to up-level my entirety, so my entire mindset. I would say to the guys tuning in today, make sure that you are looking at somebody, again, that's aligned to your values. We all have values, but it's our hierarchy of values. So when we're in our 20s, our early 20s, our mid-20s, we're wanting to create wealth. And if you're wanting to be mentored by someone who's in their 40s or their 50s, they would already have established wealth. So that would be an ideal pairing, because you've got someone that's actually done all of the trials and the tribulations. They can tell you, this is the stuff, the modalities, these are the runs on the board that will give you the guaranteed return on investment. If you're looking to be mentored by a peer, somebody who's in the same age bracket as you, they're not going to have the same wealth of knowledge. They're not going to have the same life experience. So, it's about being logical in some of that application when we're looking for a mentor. For what purpose are you wanting them, and what are you wanting to get out of them? Like, ask yourself these self-discerning questions. If I'm going to be mentored by somebody, what is it exactly do I want them to mentor me on? Where do I fill the gaps within myself? So to take away the BS, I should say, of the lingo, I have a great mentor, but what is your mentor actually guiding you through? What are they mentoring you on? What aspects are you feeling like you've got gaps that you want to bridge the gap, so that you're actually owning that yourself and embodying that yourself? Otherwise, it becomes not really a true investment. You want to get optimal capacity out of your mentor. So, look to industry. Who in industry that you really aspire? And I know off there we were talking about Grant Cardone. He really dominates because he's so passionate. He's a very well-rounded individual that has a global presence. And he's really passionate about seeing people rise, not just in wealth creation in terms of tangible money. He wants to see people thrive and really thrive forward globally, like he is, in family, in relationships, in health and vitality. So it becomes like a whole brand. So seek industry that you really aspire to. The other interesting thing is, in my corporate background, is many individuals actually don't have a mentor at executive level, at really high operating entrepreneurs, don't have a mentor in their direct industry. They'll actually have someone in a different industry, because it keeps them fresh and it keeps them with their eye on the ball, because they have an outside perspective coming in and around what is happening in the global market, what's actually happening at the cold face of changing wherever you are in your local market. And they will always give you a different perspective. And that too is healthy. I know some people that actually like to have more than one mentor at one given time. I think there can sometimes be a little bit of conflict of interest if they're not fully aligned to your bigger picture. And if you've got multiple mentors teaching you on fragments of your what you're wanting to create, health, vitality, wealth, business, living legacy, mission, purpose, whatever it might be, you're better off to have one that is actually going to give you the most return on investment, that will take you and up level you. And even if they're only with you for 3 months, rather than having one mentor that's with you for 12 or 18 months. See the value in having somebody for a shorter period that will really take you deep and get you deep quickly.
That's so
that you
good.
can come out and you can move forward quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And my takeaway there, something that I used to struggle with, is I would ask unqualified people for advice. Not, now I realize they're unqualified, but I would ask, I would just get, I would ask questions to all different people, so-called mentors, and I'd get all kinds of answers. So then I'd get confused and not really, I mean, when we were, before I ever even got into doing anything with apartment buildings and real estate and all of that, I was starting to learn about apartment buildings, and I asked all these guys that a lot of them were very wealthy, and they've created wealth in different ways. But I would ask them about, I would say, hey, I'm thinking about, doing something with apartment buildings. What do you think about that? And so many of them would, oh, I don't, that's, do you want to have tenants? They have 580 credit scores, and they're, I don't want that crap. I don't want to deal with that. And I just realized that I need to look at what they have and what they've done. Why am I asking somebody who's never owned an apartment building? Why am I asking them if they think it's a good thing or not? So no, that's so good what you just said.
Absolutely. Like, you wouldn't go for advice from someone that you actually wouldn't do business really with. And if you can work on that principle, and you really hit the nail on the head, is that if you're asking for advice from someone, ask advice for someone that's actually already in the thick of it. Like, they've already got runs on the board. They can give you congruent feedback and say, look, mate, don't reinvent the wheel. This is what's worked for me. This is what's got, runs on the board. Use this method. Or, no, that's actually no good. Don't go there. Like, I've already been burnt, or whatever it might actually be. So make sure that, you're absolutely right. Choose people and ask questions. And when you're actually asking people questions, come back to this. Whatever I'm asking, the information that they're giving me, is it actually going to take me more towards where I'm wanting to go, or is it going to take me away from it? Meaning, is it more towards the path that is what I'm really trying to build and create, or are they going to try and take me off path? Lots of people will hijack your time, your energy, and unless you really own that and you're really particular about your time and your energy, then, and what I mean by energy is what you do day in, day out. And if people don't have boundaries, and you guys will know, you'll have moments in your life, you go, oh yeah, I remember that time where I said to a mate, I'll catch up for a beer, or I'll catch up for a coffee, or we'll have a quick bite to eat. And then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 hours later, you go, hang on a sec, what happened? I was planning to go to the gym, or I was going to play ball, or whatever it might be. If you don't have boundaries in and on what you're wanting to do, what you're wanting to create, very specifically in business, people will quite happily hijack your time, energy, and your values and your beliefs. So when you're asking questions of people, be very specific. What are you asking? And what you're getting in return, so that exchange that you're getting from them, is what they're giving you actually going to add value. So it's kind of like it's the rinse and repeat cycle, is what they're going to give me going to actually help my process? And if it's not, then just shelf it. It's not worth carrying.
Yeah, your time is valuable too. So, so Ashra, I want to talk a little bit before we started the interview. We were talking about wealth and kind of what wealth means and what really wealth is. And there's a lot of talk about, well, let's say people are in the early 20s probably think wealth is just making a lot of money and being rich and having all sorts of things. But I'm sure in your line of business and your coaching, you teach that wealth is not just about making money. Can you kind of hit on, in your opinion, what wealth is and the goal for creating wealth?
Yeah, it's a great question. Wealth is, it starts with ourselves first and foremost. So if we don't nurture and look after ourselves, then anything thereon just doesn't actually come into fruition. So health and vitality should always be in your top 3 in terms of wealth creation. And if it's not, then why isn't it? And you should be asking yourself, like, why isn't it really top 2? And beyond that is then it's your internal dialogue, so your mindset, your emotional and mental intelligence. So when we talk about health and vitality is also your mindset. It's your emotional and mental intelligence in terms of what's your internal dialogue, what's your internal self-talk in terms of are you advocating for yourself, or are you actually banishing yourself? So being in check with that, and making sure that you actually have the right environment, the right support people in and around you that are also taking you more towards where you want to go. There's no add value at all in wealth creation if you're surrounded by a heap of people that just want to party and are not with the same common goals or growth
Yeah,
consciousness
definitely.
that you're looking to. And this is a big gap. A lot of people think, well, I'm ticking all the right boxes, I'm moving in the right direction, I'm so passionate, I'm bringing it all together. And they forget to look at their environment. If you are not in a cohesive environment where you've got other people that are wanting to kick goals like you are, then you are always going to be against the grain. Like, there's always going to be a challenge there. So making sure your environment's right, making sure that the relationships that you're having are very intentional. And if you don't have intentional people in your life, making sure that you've actually got those boundaries in place. And then there's that wealth bit. So, what does that actually look like? There is this, we live in a bit of a society where there is, the more you have, the more glitz and glamorous that it actually is. Not all that glitters is gold. And so, be prepared to do the hard work now in your youth so that you can actually enjoy it. That doesn't mean that you delay that gratification or validation. What it actually means is that you actually make sure you get the structure, the foundation right. So the monetary wealth that you're building, or the lifestyle wealth that you're actually building, that actually has longevity, it has sustainability. So it's all well and good to want to just make the money, hustle hard. I'm not a fan of hustling. I think that actually doesn't, it gets you quick wins, but not sustainable. Just because something's obtainable doesn't mean that it's actually going to go the long haul. You want to create something that actually, as you grow and morph through life, your business will grow and morph through life. And it will take you on different avenues. Absolutely. It'll take you to different locations around the world, but you need to make sure that you get that foundation right. So wealth to me is the whole gamut of things. The last bit is service, being in service to people. I'm not a servant, but being in service to people, because everybody is a potential client. And if anybody can take anything out of today's podcast in connecting to myself and my message, everybody you meet is a potential client. They may not buy with you today, they may not buy with you tomorrow, but the next time they need something, the next time they want something, the next time that they are aspiring to something, you want them to think of you as number one.
Yeah, most definitely.
So
you never know.
How you hold yourself. That's exactly right. How you hold yourself. What you do, what you say, how you embody, all of these things are part of your brand, and you are your brand. So your brand is your wealth creation. You get those basics right, and you'll have the longevity and the sustainability.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great answer. And you're absolutely right about that. It's really not, it's not just the money. But with that being said, where do you see your business going in the future, or your future?
Yeah, it's the way that it's trending at the moment, more expanding globally. So, when I started out in 2014, I literally had 10,000 followers on social media, and I really was in obscurity. Like, it was about how can I get more people? How can I be in front of more people? And so I started saying yes to a lot of things as I started refining my message and what I was about and what I was doing and what I was solving. What was the solutions that I was actually providing for people? And exponentially, then I had more doors open up. So for me, it's about really getting to that 100 million individuals globally and really onboarding people to understand that, yeah, you can have it all, but you can have it all balanced and have it where you're actually giving back to the planet, and you're serving yourself and you're serving people at the same time. And so for me, it's about getting to that amount of individuals, reaching that amount of lives and transforming that amount of lives from all different demographics. So for me, it's not about just a specific demographic. It's about being able to educate and inspire and motivate such a larger global populace, so more people can access the resources to create the life that they want to live. And, as you guys know, there is still a very large part of the populace that don't have the basics. Like we do, so it's about being able to give them that information so that they then can transform their own lives. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do. I'm only a little bit on the board, but after this short period of time, I have 500,000 people on social media, and I already travel the world facilitating, and I have dual business in Australia and in the US. So I'm well on my way to getting to where I'm actually working towards.
Yeah, you've got a huge number that you're working towards. So that's awesome.
That's huge.
So, all right, Asha, we're going to transition right into our moments of truth segment here. It's the same 7 questions that we ask all our guests, and I'm just going to jump right in with the first question. Who is your success role model?
That's a great question. That changes for me all the time. It really is dependent on my mindset. At the moment, I actually don't have any one in specific individual. I think if we talk in terms of who's really doing well, and I admire a lot of what they're doing, I would say Grant Cardone in terms of his balanced approach in you can have it all. That'd have to be a key for me. In terms of the ladies out there, I'd have to say there isn't anybody really in the female space yet that's really kicking goals that I look at and I go, wow, I'm really inspired or motivated by you. So I think our key motivators drive. Who inspires us drives very much where we're at in our emotional and mental state, week to week, month to month, year to year. So, if you'd asked me a year ago, I probably could rattle off something straight away. But I've had so much up-leveling and exponential growth in myself this year that I feel like I'm trailblazing a little bit in my space at the moment, because there isn't anyone really that what I do specifically that I look to and go, yeah, you're really, you're in that space.
Yeah, you're your own success role model right now.
Yeah.
Hey, love that. What is your biggest success thus far?
I think being able to teach and facilitate globally. So to be able to take my message, my brand, my ethos, and take that actually out to the global market, and for it to be so well received in the global market, and really be in a predicament now where I have organizations wanting me to do business with them. So rather than me looking to do business with them, they're actually coming to me. So
that's great.
That's a difference.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Ashra, what does a typical day for you look like? And I know our listeners probably don't know you're in Sydney, Australia right now. So what's a day like in Sydney, Australia for you?
It's generally I wake up between 5 and 5:15 in the morning, and I always take the first half an hour of my day to ground myself. So I connect in, I meditate. I really just sit in my own energy and really contemplate around what I'm doing. What do I need to establish in that day? I think about the meetings that I'm having, who I'm talking to, who I'm engaging with, what I'm closing, who I'm mentoring. But more importantly, it's about my inspiration. So in that morning is what I'm framing my day. And it's a really good space to be in terms of mindset, so that I'm framing my day rather than letting the alarm go off and, you're kind of on the run as you go.
Yeah.
And from that really from 7 a.m. onwards, because I work with clients globally, I can be in meetings, I can be mentoring, I can be speaking, I can be facilitating, I can be in a podcast. And my day generally doesn't stop until roughly around 7 o'clock at night. And when I begin to power down and go to the gym and exercise and those kind of things. So it's about balance. And, I think one of those things when we're working in business, we have our own business, we have our own brand, and we're bringing a product to market, is to be able to have balance. So, weekends I tend to make purely my downtime, so that I actually get out to nature and I go for a hike or whatever it might actually be. And it's really important that we actually have that, so that we're not constantly a slave to the computer.
Yeah, that balance, like you said, that's extremely important, I think.
Right. And getting burnout is something that happens to a lot of people. And, if they do something like that, or a retreat or a vacation, if you read, what is it? It's either The One Thing or by Gary Keller, or 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. They talk about plan the vacations, because that's how you stay fresh for your work. It kind of gives you a thing you can work towards, and, you have to get stuff done by that vacation, and then it allows you to clear your head when you go there and keep that balance. So that's really good.
Yeah, totally. And I think too, also making sure that you actually give yourself a reward each week. And it's probably the word reward sounds a little bit tacky, but actually each week do something that really fills up your cup, like really self-nourishes. So, for the people watching, it might be going to a ball game. It might be going catch up with friends. It might be going to a movie. It might be going out to nature. It might be even just having, a glass of wine and a bubble bath, whatever it might actually be. Make sure that you actually are doing something that is self-nurturing, self-nourishing, because, the reality is when you are working for yourself and you're an entrepreneur, you're always thinking about how you can take yourself to that next level, but it's always good to power down and actually make sure that you're giving yourself something to look forward to. It'll be a Friday night, a Monday night. It doesn't really matter, but make sure that you're incorporating that into your week every week.
Very good. What is your favorite quote?
Matter is motionless without spirit. So that basically means we're matter and we're motionless without spirit. So we're all souls. Everybody's a soul on the planet, and we're all having a human experience. So you need to make sure that you understand both. Without emotional and mental intelligence combined together, it won't get you very far.
I like that one. It's a unique one. What are some of your hobbies?
Good question. What are my hobbies? I like painting and drawing. But nature and beach, anything to do with ocean. I love spending time by the ocean.
So do you paint and draw nature, or do you?
No, it can be whatever I feel like. I've done that for most of my life, paint and draw.
Okay.
And exercise is the other thing.
Nice.
That's a learned habit. Nobody really loves exercise, but these days it's definitely become a hobby. It's ingrained into my day. Yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. What is the best business book that you've read?
It's interesting. So Tim Ferriss and his work is good. And to be honest, there is a lot. I think one of the best books is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's an old one, but I think in terms of mindset, how to really leverage your connections and how to really leverage, and I remember going to, about 22 now, I'm 40. I remember going to a workshop of his maybe like 20 years ago. But in terms of the principles of how to build relationships with people and communicate with people and make sure that you're leveraging that, I think his work is probably one that's stood with me through the test of time. Yeah, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Very good.
I've heard that's a good book. Never got to it yet, but
definitely do it.
It's on the reading list. So the last question here: if there's one key piece of advice you could leave our listeners with about achieving success, what do you think it would be?
Get the foundation right, guys. Make sure you're really clear about what solution you're actually bringing to market, for what purpose. So who are your people? So who is your avatar? What are your client base? And then making sure your own foundation is right in terms of your values, your beliefs, and your boundaries. What are your non-negotiables? You don't want to sell yourself out in order to get some runs on the board. Like, be really for sustainable, congruent, thriving success. Get that foundation right. And the last bit, get a sensational mentor. Like, really onboard somebody that can actually up-level you in a short period of time. Get you to start stretching the mind and take yourself to that place where you're currently not performing.
Definitely. You need that foundation to really keep you strong, going through, because it's never going to be as planned, but with that foundation, it's going to help you keep you guided, and along with that mentor too. So that's great advice. So Ashra, how can our listeners get in contact with you if they've got questions, want you as their mentor, or how can they get in contact with you?
Totally. So they can email me directly. I answer all emails personally to see if we're the right fit, and that's Ashra, CCI888 at outlook.com. Or alternatively, they can jump on and connect with me at Ashra Global. You can find me Ashra Global on Facebook and also on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, I'll do that too. Right as soon as we hop off here, I'll connect with you too. But Ashra, we appreciate you being on here with us and providing all the insight and great value that you provided. So again, we appreciate you being on the show with us. And for our listeners, be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any of our daily episodes, and join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/junkies. again, Ashra, thanks for being with us today, and we appreciate you sharing all the insight.
Yep, Ashra, thanks so much.
Pleasure.
You've been listening to the Daily Wealth Junkie Show, brought to you by CEO Capital Partners. CEO Capital Partners works with business owners and executives to build passive income through multifamily apartment syndications. For more information about how you can invest in quality multifamily real estate assets and build significant streams of passive income, visit us today at ceocapitalpartners.com.